What up, guys? Coach Colin here, bringing you the absolute best insights to the absolute best podcasts in the world. And if you want more of that, hit the subscribe button. Let's get into it. We're at episode 1916 of the Joe Rogan podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience. John Barnthal. There you go. I'm gonna get it right by the time I'm done this series, because can't speak English right now. Absolutely great. Again, I'm gonna go into my Jocko type of thing and just read out why I chose this clip. At 20 minutes and 21 seconds, John tells a beautiful story of how he brought a group of police officers together with a group of gang members, and in doing so, had them realize they had so many similarities between them and how they connected on those similarities. It makes me think how so many of us, if we were just willing to look past what side someone was on or what tribe they are a part of, how much we could connect with people who are quote unquote the enemy if we just took the time to sit down with them, hear them out, and connect with them. And it's so true. Like, I don't know, there's been so many times where you think perfect example for me, Jordan Peterson. I did not like Jordan Peterson at all. When I first heard his voice, I was like, I'm not listening to this at all. And like a year or two later, I started listening to certain things that kind of spoke to me and completely shifted my life. Realized that I had more in common with this man than I thought. I was able to look past some of the things that other people said and really take in that person for myself. And again, this is just a beautiful story. JRE, let's hear the clip.
Stew in your mind before you ultimately decided to do something.
It stewed in my mind for a while, and you know, we started doing them, and you know, it sort of fits and starts.
So what was the first one?
So the first one that we did was exactly what I'm talking about. We did it with my friend Jerry Ballesteros, who's he's a crash unit cop.
So how does this conversation start, and like how do you decide to start doing this? Like how do you say, you know what, I am going to sit down with people. Like, were you just like, I don't feel like their side's being represented. I feel like I have something to add to this, or I feel like I have a unique position
Not
where
me.
I can kind of bring people together.
Yeah, not me. Them. Yeah, I guess there's that. And you know, I have friends who, especially if you look at South Central. Specifically, Newton Division in South Central, it's historically one of the most violent. They call it a shoot Newton, one of the most violent precincts in the entire city. I was enormously close with some of the guys in that precinct, and Jerry Ballesteros is sort of this legendary cop there. He's lost people on the street, and he's gone all the way, and he's a guy that's respected. I believe in his reasons.
Was he the first guy you sat down with?
So he's the first guy I sat down with, but I sat down with him, and I sat down with a guy named Dante Johnson. People call him Bojangles on the street. He grew up in the Pueblo Bishop housing projects. The Pueblo Bishop housing projects and Newton Division are right next to each other. They've been sort of set against each other forever. People call him Bojangles, like I said. He's a community activist. He's somebody who's given so much back to the community of the Pueblos. But he was also he was part of the Pueblo. It still is part of the Pueblo Bishop Bloods, and these guys knew each other. They knew of each other. They've come into contact with each other in the street. And, at first, getting them together was, it was difficult. It was hard. And
that's a big first step.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get into podcasting. That's a very big undertaking.
Yeah, but again, it's, I don't know.
You just felt compelled?
I did. And look, I think at the time, my cousin was in a band called Fountains of Wayne, and right in the beginning of COVID, when it was first sort of popping off, he died. way too early, left 2 daughters behind. Only person in my family really that showed me that it was possible to kind of be an artist. It was real. He died real early. He was sort of like, hey, I'm sick and I'm going into the hospital now. I got this thing, and hey, I'm on a ventilator, and never came out. And you know, his parents couldn't go visit him. His kids couldn't go visit him, even though they were a mile apart because they closed off the hospitals. And
Man.
you know, so I live up in Ojai, California, in a place that you know.
Yeah, I know.
COVID, yeah, so COVID almost like didn't really exist there at the time. But then again, when the George Floyd uprising, you know, popped off, I really wanted to get out. I really wanted to be a part of that. But then again, when I saw the anti-police movement, anytime I'd go and protest, I'd also stop by Newton Division and just pay my respects. And I just was so frustrated that I couldn't be both. I couldn't. I was so pro Black Lives Matter, but also super pro law enforcement, and understand that these things are not mutually exclusive. So that's kind of where the idea came from. But you know, with these guys specifically, it was really hard to get them together. There had been an officer-involved shooting at the Pueblos right at that time, and there was an ongoing case. And you know, what was interesting, the way that we came around is Bo, he started an acting school in the Pueblos in South Central with Shia LaBeouf years ago called Slauson Rec. And Bo himself, you know, is an acting student and an actor himself. And there's a show that I wrote about Shreveport, Louisiana, and I wanted to do a reading of it. And so I got Bo and a bunch of guys from the Pueblos, some of whom were active gang members, to do this reading of the show. And I brought in a bunch of industry people and a bunch of agents and managers to come give these guys an opportunity. But the place that we had the reading was at a place that was sort of run by my friend who's in the LAPD. So you had these cops coming in at that time, setting up chairs and hanging lights. And you had these ex and current gang members performing. And to put them all on mission together and put them all sort of into, by the end, everyone's hugging each other. And now, you know, we're setting up a show with Jerry and Bo where they both love fishing. So they're going fishing and they're taking people fishing with them. But this is the whole thesis. And
Right.
What I expected to happen really did. I know these two men. I believe in these two men with all my heart. I respect these two men limitlessly. And I knew that they would laugh at the same shit. I knew that they would be finishing each other's sentences. Their experience is what binds them. And again, they can point out flaws in each other. And at times they do in the episode. They can point out flaws with the system. They can talk about things that are grossly unfair. You know, this is one of the things that sort of came out that was so interesting is, you know, Jerry was talking about, you know, being, you know, a decades long veteran of the LAPD, how, you know, places would give him free coffee. He would go eat for free. But now walking in, you know, in uniform, people wouldn't let him in, you know, their establishments. And
Wow.
you know, on the other side, you got both saying, yeah, I've lived with that my whole life, man. You know what I mean? And there's real points of connection that way. And then I just think from there, it just, you know, I believed in that thesis, and we just kind of kept it going. And I got a group of people around me that I think really believe in it as well. And yeah, man, it's so this is what we're doing.
One of the things.
Man, that's wild. The cool thing that stands out, well, cool, kind of hard, but the demonization of police officers, and how almost like the police officer, you know, talking about, you know, now I can't go into certain places because of the way I look. And then the gang member being like, yeah, I feel you, you know, like crazy. This podcast is amazing, but also the podcast that he's talking about, his podcast, the real ones, where he sits down with these two gentlemen and they talk. Incredible, man. Just incredible. I'm going to be doing a video on that as well, because it's just like, man, you can really connect with people if you're just willing to. That's really what it is. If you're just willing to sit down with somebody who you think you disagree with and just see past the disagreements, see past, you know, their tribe or whatever your preconceived notions are of them. At the end of the day, everybody's a person, you know, at the core. You know, everybody has these core things that all people go through, you know? Everybody stubs their toe at night and jumps up and down and goes, oh my God, and swears and screams. Everybody, you know, every man has, you know, ends up having a kid, and that kid does something ridiculous and they're just like, oh my God, this kid. Everybody has these core experiences that we all go through. And if we're just willing to see through all the bullshit, we can really connect. And don't get me wrong, I don't do it. Like, I do it a little bit. I try to do it a lot. Literally because of Jordan Peterson, because of how I thought about him, and then looking deeper into what he had to say, and then having what he had to say move me so much and change my life so much. It kind of opened me up to like all people and all different things. Wow, he's really in a bad position right here. He looks really mad. He looks like he's about to beat the shit out of Joe Rogan. I'm just gonna leave it like this. He looks so angry. He looks like he's about to knock Joe out. Wow. I did not realize it was like that. But yeah, man, ever since that happened, ever since I got opened up to Dr. Peterson that way, I've just been open to like everybody. It's like, if I don't like somebody's voice, that used to be a thing. If I didn't like your voice, I'm like, I don't want to listen to you. Or if somebody told me that this person's racist, it's like, I'm never going to listen to them. Now it's just like, okay, you have the thing that you're saying that this person is, but now let me hear them and let me decide what they are. You know, like they call it poisoning the waters. Like, some people will poison the waters for you on certain topics. You know, like an example of it is like somebody will come to you and be like let's say they're in an argument with somebody, and they both walk up to you and somebody goes, can I tell you how dumb this guy is? It's like they're poisoning the waters. They're already giving you the notion that the person that they're arguing with is dumb, you know? And I just don't let that happen anymore, you know? But yeah, this is a great podcast, man. Honestly, like, I know people don't like to sit down and listen to 3-hour podcasts, but this one is good. There's gonna be some more clips that I'm gonna drop. You're gonna see. This one's a good one. Again, it's the Joe Rogan Experience, episode 1916, with John Barnthal, aka the Punisher, aka some character on The Walking Dead. Sorry, I don't know anything about The Walking Dead. I never watched it. Never watched an episode. I'm not into horror stuff. I'm not into seeing people die and get killed all the time. I'm just not into it. I used to be when I was younger, but at a certain point, as I started learning about the subconscious and how the subconscious works, and I was just like, why am I inputting that into my brain? You know? I don't know. But anyways, guys, that's the end of this one. Peace.